Hey guys, welcome to today's video where I want to show you how to build the most awesome, completely off-grid navigation setup for your Lexus GX470. To do this, I'm going to use the awesome Ohana Rig Supply Stealth Mounting Bracket made specifically for your Lexus GX470. Before I get into that, I have a couple other overlanding interior mods and also some wiring cleanup to do. Now, this set power fridge slide is only about 180 bucks, and I know there are other nicer options out there, but all of them cost like $300, $400, $500. I don't see the point in that at all. This is just easier than making one myself. As you can see, my fridge is just sitting in the back here, and that's not acceptable. I need to get this thing bolted down tight, so that's what I'm doing here. Since I have a plywood floor here, I'm basically just using wood screws and washers to hold the bottom in for a secure fit. Now that just holds the bottom of the slide in, so the top can go freely in and out while staying mounted up. And this setup really feels strong. Then you just strap down the fridge using these tie downs, and that's it. The install's super simple, and here's how it looks. As you can see, it's super great to have those two stages of slide out. Now what I want to do is make sure the sleeping platform is secure. I previously did this with a turnbuckle and cable setup, but those cables were kind of stretching out over time. So what I did is I got some steel carabiners and hooked those up to the bottom cargo tie downs. Now those turnbuckles are as secure as can be, and I don't have to worry about that sleeping platform going anywhere. Now we have to talk about this mess of wiring that I made of my solar setup. I was in such a rush just to get it done to see if it would actually work, and it does, but I didn't clean the wiring up as well as I should have. So that's what I'm going to do now. I have all this excess length. First, I'm going to go ahead and move my inverter to get a better placement for the solar charge controller. So I'm basically unbolting it and then bolting it back into place finally, instead of having the shoelace holding one side up like I did before. It's going to look a little better. Now I'm just moving my solar charge controller up so I can read it easier while the fridge is slid towards the inside of the vehicle. And then I am taking the excess wiring, cutting it all out, routing all the wiring through and securing it with zip ties where needed so that there is nothing flopping around back here anymore. I'm cutting the wires, stripping them down, and putting them back into either the connectors that I had or directly into the solar charge controller as needed. I had to find a unique solution for the power cable that goes to the fridge, because now that the fridge slides in and out, the cable has to kind of move with it without getting caught up in the tracks. So what I did is I was able to secure the box on the power cable in such a way that it kind of rotates as I push the fridge out and in. So as you can see, when I pull the fridge out, it kind of adjusts on the fly, and also when it goes back in. That's my solution for that. I don't know if it's the best, but it's really simple. So let's get to the navigation setup. First, I have the Ohana Rig Supply Stealth Mounting Bracket. This thing is so cool, and it turns your dash into a modular way of mounting all sorts of stuff. They have multiple panels. You should check out their website. They have one that goes over the top as well that you can mount stuff kind of higher up at eye level. They have overhead panels and rear tailgate panels, all sorts of stuff. Definitely check them out. Anyways, this stealth panel has the option to mount a molly panel on the side that is adjustable for various items. Here I'm just doing the very simple install, just bolting everything together. You have that faceplate that you kind of screw in with a couple of these Allen screws. You have a back plate where it secures to the dashboard, and you have, of course, your molly panel, which installs on the side of the bracket like this. So here's the top one, and this one's going to be adjustable, and then you have your bottom one that kind of pivots the molly panel around it like that. So just get your backing nut on the back of each of those, and I left everything hand tight for now. We're going to tighten it all down later. And here's what it looks like completed. This thing is ready to drop in. One of the things I really like about this mounting bracket is the fact that this install is totally reversible, meaning you don't have to drill a bunch of holes in your vehicle to mount it up. This thing mounts completely securely with some industrial grade double-sided tape. This may sound weird, but it is more than strong enough to hold all of your small items like your radios, phones, your iPads, your phone, your Garmin, whatever you put up there in just a nice convenient location. Here you just see me clearing out the coins out of my ashtray because I won't be using that anymore. And then I'm doing a couple of test fits just to make sure I know how I'm going to do that. So for my strategy, I'm going to go ahead and put the mounting bracket in, and then I'm going to slide this back plate in order to stick it to the dash right there. Now it's time to remove the backing from the double-sided tape and do the final install. To install it, slide the stealth bracket in and squeeze in those bottom feet. And then you're going to let them out and stick themselves to the sides there. And that's pretty secure already, but now we have the extra reinforcement from that backing plate I was talking about before that sticks itself to the dash. I'm gonna hold these things in place for a little bit to make sure it sticks really well, and that's what it looks like when it's complete. If you're uncomfortable with the double-sided tape holding up all your items, Ohana Rig Supply gives you the option to just drill in. They have pre-drilled holes for you, so you can just get some self-tapping screws and drill into the plastic if you're okay with that. As you saw before, I only hand tighten these bolts, so what I'm doing now is going back in and tightening them all down in their final position. Not too tight, just enough. And then I'm getting this flat nut that I had for the roof rack. Actually, it's kind of a slot nut. And I'm going to use it to mount up this camera mount that I'm going to use as a base for the iPad mount that I'm going to be using. And here is kind of that pivot base that I'm going to be using. All you have to do for this setup is just slide this guy in and tighten it up. That is it. And then you're ready to mount up the actual iPad mount right here. And basically all you have to do for that is screw it into the pivot mount that we installed just a second ago. And that's how it looks when you're all done. I think this setup looks killer and it feels super secure, like it's not going to give me any issues even on bumpy roads or anything like that, especially with just the weight of an iPad on it. This thing feels like it's solid enough to be secure, but also will have enough give in order to let me adjust where I want the iPad to be pointing. The next critical element to this off-grid equation is getting myself a satellite communicator that works whether I'm in cell range or not, and that's why I got this Garmin InReach Mini 2. These things are able to work as long as you have a clear view of the sky anywhere in the world. So that's why I chose this for SOS communication if there's an emergency, and also you can send texts and updates to your family members, and we really wanted that security when we're going out on the trail with a little baby. The other critical element of this is that I can pair it up with an iPad that has a larger screen than a phone. I got this iPad renewed on Amazon for like $130 and it should work perfectly. Now I can just download some maps and plot my routes for my future Lexus off-road adventures. And this is the final setup, everybody. I am super happy with how this turned out. I have enough room to shift from high to low, to shift from park to drive. No issues there. I'm really excited to test this out on some remote trails to see if all my waypoints get hit and it keeps me on the trail and everything. It feels super secure, and like I said before, there's enough give to where you can adjust it, but there's also enough rigidity that it holds the iPad up no problem at all. Really excited for how this turned out. I'll leave the links to all these products that I used in the description. Don't think that you have to use the same exact ones as me because I just chose some random ones, but maybe it can inspire you to do a build of your own, and I hope I can do that. The Ohana Rig Supply Stealth Bracket is a great base for experimenting. The last kind of interior mod that I wanted to do is finally get the labels on my switch panel. I've been kind of guessing for the longest time with these, and I'm ready to just make a final decision and place these labels where they belong. I still have 4 more open ports, so leave a comment down below what you think I should put in those empty slots. And in case you forgot, this bracket is also from Ohana Rig Supply, so check them out if you want something like that as well. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, all of that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.